Leadership is nothing but a bunch of talk. You might know that Steve DeShazer said that therapy is nothing but a bunch of talk. And when you look at the surface of things, as we are wont to do in solution focus, then leadership obviously is nothing but a bunch of talk. What do leaders do all day? They either talk to themselves making decisions, or they talk to other people. So let me ask you one question. What do you think, how much money do companies globally spend for leadership development for a senior executive per year? Guesses, please. No, on average, one leader for 1 year, for one executive for 1 year, how much would you average?
15,000 €.
15,000 euro? Any, going one? 20, doing twice? All right. There is a Deloitte the leadership handbook statistics, and this is what companies pay for leadership development per year. You can see my beautiful drawing of a top executive, around $20,000. Then we have around $13,000 for middle management, and beginning and junior management around $2,050. So that's quite a lot of money. Second question, what do they think they are getting by investing in leadership development? What is the ROI that they expect? What do they want? Why do companies try to teach leaders how to lead?
To double their profits.
Profit. What else?
Retention of staff.
Retention, yeah. Not bad.
Motivation and engagement.
Motivation, and yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Because they think they're supposed to do it.
They have to, it's keeping up with the Joneses, right? Okay, Mike, the others are doing the same thing. I better go do it. And they have the Belbin brothers. I need to get even better ones. I'll hire the, right? No, that's a bit facetious. Kirkpatrick's and Phillips are some of the people who have tried to research return on investment on leadership development programs or on talent development in general. So if you want to have a look at how this can be measured quantitatively, these would be the people to look at. Although it is notoriously difficult to quantify what you get from any kind of talent development measures, because as I tried to visualize, the world turns even when you're doing the leadership development program. So you never know, is what you are doing helping, is a leadership development program helping better leadership? Or is something else, is the market developed, or what? You never know. It's very hard to measure. So here are some of my ideas of why companies do that. So increase quality of leadership, retainment, as you said, efficient and target-oriented work, healthy staff, higher productivity, happy staff. Well, let me tell you a little bit of how I came to talk to you about leadership development. I have around 15 years of experience in design and development of leadership development programs in global corporations. The first one being when Peter Szabo put me in contact with the Swiss National Bank, and I was able to develop a management and leadership development program for the National Bank in Kyrgyzstan. So that was my first job around. And since then, I have done loads of leadership development programs for many different companies, large steel company leadership development that was rolled out from Kazakhstan via Luxembourg, through France, over the Atlantic to Brazil and Mexico. So I somehow know my stuff. So how did that happen? I mean, it all started with a coaching training, and it started when I was a lecturer at a University of Applied Sciences. You see, yeah, 2001. Some of you remember. I was teaching translation, and I was teaching business English. Then all of a sudden, the boss of the university calls me and says, shoot, our management and leadership lecturer fell sick. So it's 2 weeks into the semester. We need someone. You seem to be good with the students. Can you take over? I was, okay, if you want to learn something, teach it, sure. I was thinking it might be a good, was doing a coaching training at the same time, and then I was young and needed the money. So I did it, right? And I was so in awe of all the leadership stuff. I remember asking people, so what books should I read? And I was like, oh, I know nothing about this. But then I go teach, no, my courage is again putting me in a corner that I won't be able to come out of. So I went and looked at the leadership development stuff. What did I find? The Hersey Blanchard situational leadership, Maslow pyramid of needs, theory X, theory Y. I read all the books. I read the originals. I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah, I studied theology and linguistics, so I'm used to taking apart theories. And when it comes to theories, they weren't really, really very good ones, because they neither represented reality, nor were they very consistent in themselves. So both touching points for what is a good theory, I thought, nah. So what I did with my students, basically, I thought, okay, let's have some fun with it. I threw a theory out, let's say Maslow's pyramid of needs. I read them a beautiful Paulo Neruda poem and asked them, so what does that tell you about the validity of this model? Here's a guy who has nothing to eat, yet he writes beautiful poetry. And we took these theories apart. 1 year later, I get a call by a global leadership development program company, and they ask, can you do what you're doing for the students, for us, but for much more money? I thought, yes. Off I went, and then I asked them, okay, so now in industry, of course, they're not teaching these stupid theories, right? Nah, no way. They're really good, and in business life, they're highly qualified people, and they know what they're doing, and I went to the HR director. And what was I expected to teach? The same old stuff. So I went, okay, if this is what you want, and I had learned from someone, always trust your client, they know what they're doing. And in the first workshop, they were actually happy. They came out and said, oh, no, we know how the world works, and, this is good, yeah, and it's good theories, and I learned something. It was like, and they filled the happy sheets, all happy, happy, happy. It was like, okay, it's not so bad after all. I mean, they might be wrong, but they might be useful theories. Could be. And then 2 months later, as I had learned, I asked my students what worked. And they came and said, well, too bad. I had put Miss Müller into the category R1 on the situational leadership. But she's actually not an R1 in all of the cases. Sometimes she's more an extrovert than an introvert. And I really don't know how I can fit her into all of these theories. And then when she was talking to me, I had no time to analyze. And so, of course, I go panic. I saw the dollars floating out of my pockets. So, what do I do now? And going back to what I had learned, I asked them, okay, so if this didn't work, what do you want instead? And they said, we would like to talk about our concrete experiences. And I went, okay, concrete experience, can do, solution focus. Yeah. And I got them together. I gave them a few questions. I said, this is one person. He will tell you his issue with Frau Müller, and you will be the consultants, and you will help them. So in the situation, I used solution focus, I used action learning, and they came out happy again. So ever since, I've done kind of a mixture between what the clients want and what is actually useful to people. My question is, can there be a map for leadership? Is it possible? Is it possible to have a theory that actually works? During my time in the leadership development industry, I kept thinking I am like the tour guide in the Carpathian Mountains, yeah, with a group of hikers, and they're lost, but the tour guide has a map. And she leads confidently to the next village, and everybody is very happy, only then to find out that it was the maps of the Pyrenees. Yeah? So, is it really possible to have a true map of leadership? I don't think so. Leadership is a family resemblance concept, or Wittgenstein and Steve DeShazer would probably call it a family resemblance concept. So what's that? This is a Jones family. They all they look familiar. They look like you can find a family resemblance a little bit. Is there one thing in the Jones family that identifies a person as a Jones? You say, this is what they all have in common.
You drew them.
Okay. Other than that.
The eyes.
Eyes, well, everybody else has eyes too. No. So they look familiar, but there is not one characteristic that characterizes them all. And this is the same with leadership situations. We can identify when somebody leads, but we can't say it's one thing that characterizes this situation. Yeah? So wanting a map of leadership is like wanting an atlas of clouds. It is not a fixed landscape. It is more like a Tolkien landscape. It's a landscape where everything changes all the time. You cannot nail down Ms. Müller. It's not possible. Every situation will be new. What happens when you mistake your map of leadership for the reality, when you mistake the map for the territory? Suddenly people don't react like you think they should be reacting. What do you then think of them? They are resistant. Yeah? They are resistant to your great idea. So you have this change management plan, and you planned it according to Cotter, and then somebody still doesn't like it, although they should have been on the curve somewhere already. So if they don't react the way your theory says, you start thinking they are resistant, and you forget looking for signs of cooperation. And we know, not everybody else knows, that 1984 resistance was buried in the backyard of Insu and Steve DeShazer. when they found out that if somebody is resistant, instead of looking at your, in their case, psychotherapeutic, but in the leadership case, leadership theory, you should be looking at what are the signs of cooperation that I have overlooked? How can I cooperate with this individual? So instead of thinking in your head, staying in the live interaction, don't be fooled into letting the illusion of control replace the alive interaction that you have between human beings. So what to do instead? How do you reach these goals of leadership development? I think instead of giving people maps, you should give them scouting skills. So how do I deal with the situation when I don't have water? Where do I find, okay, there's a tree, it has moss on this side, so probably the wind is coming from here. You should teach them how to interact with people. What are the options of dealing with changing situations? And what is a very, very good way of doing just that? A theory that implies, and the theory that presumes that change is inevitable, that change happens all the time. A theory that knows how to interact productively with people, a theory that knows how to collaborate with people. And I think solution focus is a pretty good fit for leadership development. I hope I have given you some hope that you can sell leadership development in a solution-focused way, action learning plus leadership development plus solution focus plus coaching, put it into a package and tell your next human resource person, this is something that you can do to actually reach the goals that you want to reach as a company. Thank you.